McDonald Bookkeeping, your small business one-stop shop for your bookkeeping needs. McDonald Bookkeeping is there for your payroll employment requirement, tax, and QuickBooks financial software. McDonald Bookkeeping, customized accounting services to fit almost any budget. McDonald Bookkeeping, bookkeeping and payroll made simple. Check out our website at mcdonaldbookkeeping.com. Call today for your free consultation at 800-560-5139. That's 800-560-5139. Or email us at admin@mcdonald-bookkeeping.com. That's admin@mcdonald-bookkeeping.com. McDonald Bookkeeping, the perfect move for small businesses, entrepreneurs, and bosses.
Get more ready your life with Entrepreneur Life. Hot 702.5, better tune in. If not, then you're losing. Let's talk about business and what you need for you to succeed. What I help, you might just live stress-free. Don't trust me, just come see. More money, more problems, but we can manage that. Teach you step by step how to handle that. No more struggling, no more excuses. Time to think about yourself and your future. Get more ready your life with Entrepreneur Life. No more struggling, no more excuses. Time to think about you and your future.
Think about your future. When you're ready, contact us on Instagram or Facebook at McDonald Bookkeeping, or feel free to call toll-free 1-800-560-5139. Also featuring SWHR consultant with Shamar Walker. Stay tuned. Let's go.
Welcome back to Entrepreneur Life and the day in the life of an entrepreneur. And I am your host, Rose McDonald from McDonald Bookkeeping, and my co-host,
Shamar Walker with SWHR Consulting. How are you guys doing today?
And thank you to all of our followers who have been following us and watching the show, and to all of our new followers and listeners. We hope that you get something out of our show that you can share, and share our live feeds, as well as follow us on Hot 702.5 FM on your radio dial, internet dial. So let's first start off with our housekeeping topics before we get into our today's show and our guest. So I'd first like to say thank you to our show producer, Juan Cook, who really helps us streamline our show, get our guests on the show, sponsorships on the show. We really appreciate you. You can also follow her by watching her show, New Music Mondays, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, here on Facebook and on Hot 702 FM Live, and also to E. Curry for allowing us a platform here on Hot 702.5 FM Sound, and where they have over 80,000 listeners in 70 countries. So if you want to promote and get your business out there, this is the place to be. And if you want to sponsor our show, check 800,000 listeners. Then you get that right, not 80,000. And if you want to sponsor our show, please check us out. Go to our website, www.mcdonald-bookkeeping.com, under Hot 702 FM, and you can see all the live shows and listen. So let's get into today's topic, which is going to be our our tax topics on tax deductions if you want to win in the tax game. And we are super excited because, I have been following someone's page for a while. We've been stalking Lusundra for a minute.
Right.
I found Lusundra Everette, I think about 2 years ago, and I just kind of listened to everything she's got to say because she knows her stuff. But she will tell you more about her. I think she's on the line. Are you there, Lusundra? We're getting her in one moment. A little technical difficulty. So what we're going to do is we're going to get her back on the line. I think we might have lost her, but let me tell you a little bit about Lusundra Everette, who is the Home Biz Tax Lady. And what she does is she really helps you win in the home tax game.
Right.
And what she does is she gives you all key resource tools and information on really how to help you in your small business with deductions, making sure that you are doing what you need to do throughout the year so that you can get all the tax deductions and basically win the tax game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just even understanding like your entity and just making sure that you're establishing the right entity so that you can get the proper deductions for the next year. Yeah.
There's she actually has a really she's an author too. Some of you may not know, but she is an author and has her book on Amazon. So, and I actually have shared her link onto my social media page. And so if you look up on my website www.mcdonald-bookkeeping.com, you will find Lusundra Everette, the Home Biz Tax Lady, and her book to the No Nonsense Guide to Your Home Business Management, as well as she has a lot of tools on her website. And until we get her on the line, our last week's show, we were talking about starting your business. But some of the things I think we forgot to add was that actually where to go to get it started.
Right.
So actually, I have a link on my page and I'll be sharing it. So really all you have to do, if you want, just call in to 702-551-5261 and we can actually share that information with you. And if you have any questions at all, and then we can share with you exactly all the steps and where you need to go. Give you the links, the types of business entities, how you register, the types of licenses, everything you need to get your business started. Or maybe you've already started your business and you just need to know a little bit more direction. So I think we've got Lusundra on the line. Technology and technical difficulties. So, Miss Lusundra, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Yes,
thank goodness. So, so of course, as you know, we've been following you for some time and watching you. And if you can just introduce yourself to our listeners so they'll know who the amazing Home Biz Tax Lady is.
Oh, thank you guys. I am the Home Biz Tax Lady, where I help home business owners win the tax game. I am a wife and an Army wife. I'm a mom of two. I'm an enrolled agent, which means that I have a federal license to prepare taxes nationwide. I went through a series of tests and passed them, and
she passed them, you guys.
It's that simple.
She passed those tests. So, and why I thought this would be, you were a great fit for our show, right. Aside from, and of course I've been promoting your book and people don't know that you really do provide a lot of great resources.
Yes.
And I mean, and it's really, I know for us that, maybe aren't in the tax industry and may not know everything, you really kind of break it down to us, elementary style, kind of like, Windows for Dummies.
Right.
You know what
Dummy
I'm saying?
proof, right.
Well, I always say if you want to know if you understand something, try to teach it. And if you teach it and you can explain it to a 6-year-old, then you got it. So I always try to explain things to where the kids would get it. Because, a lot of times when we get in, asking these questions, you get the professionals in the industry speak and you're just as lost as before you ask the question.
Yeah.
And that's not the way it needs to be, at least to me. So, I'm not, and I often tell people, coming to me, asking me questions, like, I'm not here to teach you how to do taxes. I'm teaching you what you need to know as a business owner to be successful in getting your taxes prepared, because you need to go make money for your business, not study tax law. That's my job. So yeah. That's really why I'm here to answer the everyday questions that people have, so they can walk away with a sense of, okay, this maybe isn't as bad as I thought.
So, what would you say are some of the major misunderstandings or misconceptions with small business owners and running their business and the tax industry? What they're missing?
I think the biggest myth is that you have to wait until you have a lot of money before you consult with a tax professional. And that is the biggest fallacy that there is, simply because taxes is the biggest bill you're going to pay in your life.
Yes.
It's more
Tell us about
expensive
it.
than housing, raising kids, college, all of that. Taxes is the biggest expense that you're going to have. So if you learn in the beginning how to minimize your taxes, then you're going to be minimizing that bill all the way through. Taxes aren't going to go away. As a business owner, you are going to pay taxes. If you make profit, which is why we're in business, is to make money, then you will pay taxes. So you're going to pay something, whether you like it or not. And, if you're profitable, that's what's going to happen. So to minimize that bill from the beginning, to get that consultation from the beginning, instead of listening to your friends and all of that stuff, really invest in sitting down with a professional to talk about, what your plans are. And because planning is one of the biggest pieces that business owners don't want to pay for.
Right. So, how important would you say making estimated tax payments are? Because I know a lot of people who don't. And they don't feel it necessary. They feel just waiting until the end of the year. I mean, do you think it's important that they pay estimated tax payments quarterly? Or, wouldn't it be more beneficial than waiting until the end of the year?
And then in terms of how much you should really put aside, what is that number? What is that magic number that you should, really keep as a safe net in terms of what you need to put aside to pay your taxes?
Okay, awesome. So let me answer the estimated tax payment question first. Okay. So when you are first getting started out in business, you are expected to lose money simply because you're investing, you have startup costs, advertising, all of that. So in the beginning, you may not be profitable. So, making estimated taxes may not be such a big deal. But as you begin to become profitable, then you really want to reserve 30% of your gross income for taxes. And I'll break down that number in just a moment. But the reason that you make estimated tax payments is that our system is a pay-as-you-go system. As an employee, you have taxes withheld from your paycheck, right? That is what's going towards your taxes. Well, when you're the business owner, you are not the employee. Therefore, no one is withholding your taxes.
Right, yeah.
And so that's what that 30% reserve is for. Now, the IRS has what's called an under withholding penalty. And that penalty is applied if you have not paid 100% of your previous year's tax or 90% of your current year's tax. So when you're filing your taxes, when you get down to your tax due, sometimes there's a little number that's out to the side of what your tax bill is. Whatever that little number is, that's a penalty. So when you're thinking, it's not important, when you've got a little number there, that's extra money that you did not have to pay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's new to me.
So,
so when you are... Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Continue.
No, I was saying, so when you file your taxes in this upcoming tax season, and if you owe, like I said, look at if there's a little number beside your final tax bill, and then ask yourself, was it worth it?
Well, and of course there's penalties along with that, I'm sure.
Right. That's when you file April 15th, that's when your tax liability is due. Do not wait until April 15th to file your taxes. So
what would you say to someone again that's just really starting their business? They're a sole prop, and they, again, don't really understand the taxes. I know you said put away, that 30%. So at what point would you even say, in terms of the amount that you're making within your business, that you should consider, not necessarily an LLC, but like converting your business to like an S corp or something like that, to where you can essentially put yourself on payroll and pay into those, those taxes, those employment taxes within your business? Because a lot of times people don't really know when that transition should really occur. So what would you recommend, and what do you feel that number should really be to kind of essentially consider that as an option?
Okay. All right. So one thing I did not talk about was the 30%. What is in that number?
Right. Yes, that'd be great. Yes.
Okay. So in the 30%, it consists of 15.3% self-employment tax. Now that self-employment is Social Security and Medicare. Okay. Then you have about 10% for your federal income tax, and that's when you're looking at all of your household income combined. And then you're looking at a state tax of about 5%, and ballpark. Now you have 7 states in the union that do not have a state income tax. So whether or not you choose to withhold that additional 5% is completely up to you, but you withhold that amount off the top, because 9 times out of 10, if you're not keeping up with your bookkeeping, you don't know how much you're making anyway.
Right.
And the last thing that you want to do is get to your tax filing, because a lot of people that don't keep up with their bookkeeping also don't file until April 15th. So when you file, then if you have been diligent, you've been disciplined about saving that money, then you're not having a stroke when you sit down and you have a tax bill.
Right.
Or if you wind up have saved too much money, well, then you have choices of what to do with the money.
I like that
you
option.
happen to get a refund, or your tax liability isn't as big as you thought it would be, as much as you saved up for. Well, then you got choices. You got choices whether to invest in your retirement, give yourself a bonus, reinvest in your business. We like choices. What we don't want is to get to that table on April 15th, and you have a tax bill, and then you got to figure out where you're going to get this money from.
Right.
So this is why we take it off the top. As soon as the money comes in, remove it into a separate account so that it's somewhere else. It's not in the operational account. You need to go through some steps to get to this money. That is what we want to do here.
Could you say the numbers one more time for just anyone that may have missed it? Yeah, what that 30% adds up to?
Sure. That 30%, you got 15.3% self-employment tax, which goes to your Social Security and Medicare. Then you're going to figure about 10% for your federal income tax, and then another 5% for your state tax.
Okay.
Now, you asked about going from sole proprietorship to LLC to S corp.
Right.
What is the progression? So everybody starts out as a sole proprietor. Everybody starts out the kitchen table, garage, dorm room.
Yeah.
Everybody starts there, which is completely cool.
Right. And then you make your way.
Right. So from that point, from sole proprietorship to an LLC is really a baby step, because what you're doing is you are then providing a separate identity for you and your business.
Right.
There are no additional tax savings going from a sole proprietor to a single member LLC. Okay?
It's more about the liability, right?
As a matter, this is more about the liability, and also giving your business its own identity. As a sole proprietorship, you and the business are one.
Right.
And the way I explain it is simply this: if you die, the business dies. That's it.
Right.
When you have a single member LLC, then if you die, the business can keep going. And this is where business succession planning comes into place.
Right.
So having your single member LLC is great, but ask yourself, if I die today, what would happen to my business? If you don't have a plan, get a plan. That's a bonus. Okay. But even still, determining whether or not you need to be a sole proprietor or a single member LLC. It's really a liability question. Because in some states, becoming an LLC is expensive. California is one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
That's an $800 price tag. And you also want to make sure that your business is funding itself. You want to be able to make sure that your business can pay for itself, whatever your state requirement is. So you have to ask yourself the liability type thing. So we have people that do online marketing. You don't, like selling affiliate products and that sort of thing. You don't necessarily need an LLC for those type things. But if you've got a transportation business for kids, for instance, yeah, you'll want to have an LLC for that. Simply because if you get out here and get in an accident, somebody's mama is coming for you, right?
Yeah.
So that's why you want to have that liability protection.
What would you say for those? What would you say for those companies that are in the service space industry?
Yeah, again, oh, absolutely. And so sometimes it's really making sure that you have good business insurance, right?
Yeah,
because depending on depending on the industry, you might need to have some errors and emissions insurance, right? If you are in a profession like accounting and tax and bookkeeping, nobody is perfect. We all make mistakes, and this is why we have errors and omissions insurance. So when we do make those mistakes, we have insurance, right? We try to fix them, but sometimes people are very upset and they really want to sue us or whatever. That's what that type of insurance is for.
Yeah.
So you definitely want to have that. But so it really just depends on the industry that you're in. There is nothing wrong with having a single member LLC, but just know that it's not something you got to do today. Right. Take some time to figure some things out first and then make that move. But this is also why I say consult with somebody, because to help ask, and consulting with someone is twofold. It's to help you decide on the correct business structure for you, but also to ask you the tough questions about your business that you might not be asking yourself.
And who would those individuals be exactly that, we would consult with? Would it be like a CPA, or like who would that individual be?
It can be an attorney. Okay. It could be a CPA. It could be an enrolled agent like myself. But there's a role in this. So an attorney is looking at the liability piece.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Then the CPA and the tax person are almost looking at the same thing. Right. We're looking at how this is going to impact you tax-wise. Right. And you as a business owner have to decide which thing is more important. Because what is going to impact you liability-wise and what might be the best business structure that way may not be the best business structure for you tax-wise. So if you are more concerned about liability, then you're going to bite the bullet and pay that extra that you really don't have to pay now. But if you're really more worried about saving on taxes, then you might choose a different structure. So you have to figure out what's more important to you as the business owner. And so this is why you have business structure consultation. None of us can tell you what's the right business structure for you as a business owner. We can only tell you how it's going to impact you based on what you've told us. And then you, the business owner, make that decision.
So, what do you think about the whole thing about pay yourself first?
Yeah, which is kind of leading into that S-Corp kind of situation. Right, a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, because I'm going to get to
because there's that owner withdrawal. Because we have the owner's withdrawal, we have the owner's draw, then we have like distributions, and we have the S Corp as an option. Yeah. So it's like, which one is it? Yeah.
Okay, so it's all of it, but it's at different stages in the business. Okay.
Okay, so before we're giving you a little teaser there because we're going to take a little break, and we're going to come back with Lusundra Everette, the Home Biz Tax lady, and we are going to jump more into some of your business tax deductions and everything you need to know.
Yeah, to answer that question because I'm excited. Yeah. So we'll be back.
Good afternoon. You're tuning into Entrepreneur Life, all about the day in the life of an entrepreneur, with your host, Rosella McDonald at McDonald Bookkeeping and Shamara Walker of SWHR Consulting. Tune in each Saturday between 12 and 1 p.m. with new topics and featured guests monthly, right here on Hot 702.5 FM,
where we make radio great again.
And we are back from commercial break with Lusundra Everette, the Home Biz Tax Lady. We had some call-ins, so forgive us if we didn't get to that right away. But let me give you the number again, 702-551-5261. So if you have some questions for Lusundra, please don't be afraid to call in. We are ready to answer your questions and connect you with her directly. So now we're back, Lusundra. Are you there?
Yes, I am here. Okay, so where we left off was talking about paying ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so paying yourself is different at different stages of business, okay? So as a sole proprietor, as a single member LLC, you'll have an owner's draw, okay? And that is you writing yourself a check from the business to you personally, okay?
Right.
And so I get, people like, oh my gosh, this is millennial age. Do I really need to write a check? Well, think about if you had an employee. Would you do a bank transfer from one account to theirs, or would you write them a check? Treat yourself like the employee.
We might be guilty because I think we do bank transfers, don't we? Like, okay.
Right, because it's so easy, right? But you definitely want to get in the habit of training yourself to treat yourself and anyone else like an employee.
Got it.
That's the main thing here. So it's an owner's draw at the sole proprietor level, single member LLC. Okay. Then you talk about transitioning to an S corp. Now, the main reason that people transition from an LLC to an S corp is to save on self-employment tax.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, though.
Right.
Nobody likes to pay taxes, but when we get old, everybody wants their Social Security and Medicare, right?
Yeah.
So it is a double-edged sword, but when you know this going in, then you can make those decisions. But that's really a math question, and there is no one right answer for everyone as to whether or not you should become an S corp. We usually look at about $30,000 to $40,000 in profit as a time to really start looking at that, because it's not just a self-employment tax. It's also compliance costs, and these are the things that people don't think about. Because as an S corp and even as a C corp, you have to be on payroll. As an S corp, you are required to be the owner. You are required to be an employee of the business.
Right.
So that means that you have to have yourself on payroll. You're paying yourself, whether you decide to pay yourself every 2 weeks, twice a month, whatever that is. But you're also you're withholding taxes. So there is additional tax compliance. It's not just filing the S corp return in addition to your personal return, but it's also employment tax returns. There's quarterly employment tax filings. There's withholding the payroll taxes and submitting those to the government. So there are additional layers of compliance that go along with becoming an S corp. So it's not just about the self-employment tax. And so you got to do the math to see, okay, am I really saving money here, or am I just paying somebody else the same money? And again, it's a different thing for everyone, because it also depends on what other kind of income you have coming into your home. Right. So you may be a business owner and you got some bossed out 6-figure spouse that may make you say, hey, I think I need to become an S corp sooner rather than later. Or
we might have lost her.
I think we might have lost her. Just a second. We will be back in 1 second. Technology, weather interruptions. I mean, is this not a lot of great advice?
Yes, great information.
So for all of you who are listening or who are going to be listening on the replay, or who are downloading the Hot 702.5 FM on Mixer, MIXLR, on the app, and you can find our show. And so listening on the replay or on the podcast, you can get a hold of Lusundra Everette EA, the Home Biz Tax Lady. You can actually find her on social media under the Home Biz Tax Lady. You can find her on my website, www.mcdonald-bookkeeping.com, and just go into the tab Hot 702 or guest host, and you will find her on Lusundra Everette, the Home Biz Tax Lady. So call in if you have any questions, 702-551-5261, and I think we've got her back, you guys. Are you there, Lusundra?
Yes, I am back.
Okay.
We will not be defeated.
Okay. So I have a question. This has always been on my mind for some time. That when you're an S corp and business owners pay themselves on payroll, mm-hmm. that they can't collect unemployment, but they have to pay into unemployment.
Right.
Cost of doing business.
Why is that?
Sometimes it simply is the cost of doing business, because that's the way that our laws are written. And a lot of times people get really angry at the IRS. But the IRS is the enforcer. Congress writes the laws. So if you don't like your laws, you need to go yell at your Congress.
Okay.
Can't think that that's just the rules.
I find that usually when people are going through an audit, often they mm-hmm. feel that the IRS is just looking at them rather than triggers. Can you explain the kind of triggers that, would detect an audit? It's not like they're just looking for me and say, oh, yeah, I'm going to look on the road, McDonald bookkeeping, and watch her for a while. It really doesn't happen that way.
Yeah, that's a great question, because I would love to understand a little bit about, like, how do you really trigger an audit? Like, at what point do you feel that it's a need to really, dive into an audit with someone? Is it because they convert their business at some point and that becomes a trigger, or what is it?
Yeah, there are plenty of triggers. Sometimes it's just your numbers up. And one of the things, people come to me, well, prepare my return so I won't get audited. And to which I respond, I can never tell you that you won't ever get audited. I don't care how pristine your tax return is.
Right.
It's just sometimes your number is just up, okay? Wow. But there are triggers. And the one thing that you all have to realize is that a lot of times there is not a human that is involved in this process until after you don't respond to the letter.
So you do get a letter.
There's yeah. So the way it happens, what happens is, especially in the home business industry, they're looking at your profitability. So if you have not made a profit by like year 3 or 4, you're probably going to get a letter from the IRS, and it's gonna be a letter that's asking for more information on XYZ deductions. Okay? And again, that's going to be an automated trigger. There is not a human involved yet. And so the human intervention does not happen until you respond to the letter or you don't. And if you don't respond, it's still a computer automated process. One of the things that set society on fire is when the current IRS chief, I forgot who he was talking to, but he was saying, yes, that more poor people are being audited than wealthy people. But that's because it's an automated process, not because poor people are being targeted. So, we'll say, middle class to lower income people, you might have a 1099, you might have a W-2. Those things are automated processes. There's an automated matching system. So someone files a 1099 and they're just waiting for your return to show up. Well, if your return never shows up, that's when you get a letter that says, hey, this is how much you owe us. That's what the IRS does, a substitute for return. So it's still an automated process. So this is why, and no, it's not going to be something that generally happens right away. If they're building a criminal case against you, then, it might take a little while longer for them to really piece things together. But understand that there is no statute of limitations on fraud. So this is why I tell people you keep all of your tax information and supporting documentation until you die, plus 10 years. Okay, I'm kidding about the first 10 years, but at least until you die, because there is no statute of limitations on fraud, right? And so that's a small price to pay. I know modern day organizers, after 7 years, no, no, sir. And even the IRS tells you keep your tax documentation forever. So when the numbers don't look right, everything on your tax return is there for a reason. So on your tax return, when it's asking you for your business code, right, and it's asking you what industry you're in, that's because they're looking at these numbers nationwide. And if the normal, if the normal bookkeeper has 15,000 annual miles, and then here you show up with 45, the IRS goes, every other bookkeeper in America's got 15,000 miles, but this one's got 45,000 miles. What's going on here? Right? So it's all about the data. Does it make sense? And when stuff isn't making sense, that's when the IRS goes, They won't say anything year 1. They may not say anything year 2, but that doesn't mean that they're not watching.
And it is often that they do go also to the end user. Some people think, well, I don't have to worry. But I found that they can go to your consumer, your customers, because
Now, one of the things that has changed with the taxpayer's Bill of Rights and, and changing the way that they do business is that now the IRS is going to be notifying business owners before they go to your customers. Before they didn't have to. But, just because you're being audited does not mean that you've done something wrong. It just means you're being audited.
Okay. Well, I hope you guys are taking notes and listen to this. But I want to get into actually your book, Lusundra, on Amazon. And because I see all the resources that you offer on your website, so I don't know why people don't go there. So anyway, but your book on Amazon, what actually led you to write it? Because, and it really does, you give a lot of resources. And I still actually, from taking your online workshop in the class, I still utilize that today. So what led you to write the book, as well as all the resources that you have? Because, I mean, everybody should be getting it, basically.
Well, I wrote it because I wanted to have something simple that answered the everyday question, right? Because it's a short read. You get all these business books, and they're 400 pages long. Yeah. Like, oh, ham and cheese sandwiches. Do we really want to read 400 pages? No, right. Generally not. What do I need to know? Right. And so that's why I wanted to put just what you need to know, like the basics to get started on a solid foundation. Because it's just a few simple disciplines. Like if you get those things right, you're going to grow. You won't grow and fail, and you won't go broke in your business, because that's what happens. As business owners, we will spend that money quick, fast, in a hurry. We think it's going to get us from point A to B faster than anybody goes from point A to B. We're going to spend that money, and that is what creates broke businesses. When you learn how to really strategically look at your business and say, okay, I really need to know about email marketing, then you can invest in email marketing. Or I really need to know about money management, then you can invest in money management instead of just buying whatever is the latest and greatest on the market.
Right.
I wrote this to be a simple guide, a simple reference book that you can go back and say, okay, did I get this right, this right, this right? Great. And then, then you go focus on making money. Because a lot of times we get, business owners get caught up in looking pretty. We got to get the logo, we got to have the website, we got to have the fluff and the stuff. And, have you made any money? I get people that call me, okay, well, I want to have this holding company, and I want to do this, I want to do that. But have you sold anything yet?
Right.
If you...
So there is a difference between reinvesting your money in your business and then spending it on things that, that is not helping you to grow.
Absolutely. Yeah. So exactly. And so that's where I want to really have the shift in the mindset of, all of the online hoopla, and, which is why I created my channel, because I'm like, listen, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's out there that's just baloney and it's going to get you broke. I just want to give you the stuff that's going to help you be successful, and it's simple stuff. Like, business is really not complicated.
So I'm glad you mentioned your channel.
Right.
So before we end this segment, and we actually need to have you on again, because we can go on for days with you, Lusundra. I want all the listeners to know, aside from that are here on Hot 702.5 FM radio on your radio dial, and on my podcast, and who are listening on Facebook and all social media, where everyone can find you. And I know you have a YouTube channel that's really good.
Yes, I am the Home Biz Tax Lady on all of social media, but YouTube is my jam. My YouTube channel is the Home Biz Tax Lady, and I post videos Monday through Friday. And although for the last 2 weeks I've been out the office, y'all, so don't judge me. But normally Monday through Friday, there's a new video that is answering everyday questions. And, so I encourage people that they've got questions to go there and look. And if you don't see what you're looking for, shoot me a message. I just had someone comment like, hey, you talked about people taking money out of their retirement when they're, early withdrawals, but what about people that are of age? What do we need to look for? I'm like, okay, fair enough. We'll take care of you next week.
Well, to all of the listeners, you will be able to, we will link her social media links in here on the show, as well as you will be able to go to my website, www.mcdonald-bookkeeping.com, under guest hosts, and I will have all of her social media links on her profile. So I want to thank you, Lusundra.
for being
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yes,
Thank
thank you for
you.
such great information. I mean, like you said, we definitely need to have you on the show again.
Yeah,
so we can dive into a little bit more, details and content around just some of the formations again of your businesses, why make those decisions. Again, making sure that you understand the differences between the owner's draws and, and then distribution, paying yourself within your organization. Because I think a lot of times people don't really understand that. And like you said, you come to the end of the year and you're like, okay, well, I saved all this money. I think I know what I'm going to be paying in taxes, but then, you're still surprised. So I'm really excited to bring her back. And
yes, we are excited to bring her back. So again, we want to thank Lusundra Everette, the Home Biz Tax lady, the real tax lady out there. Is going to give you the real advice.
You guys.
Yeah.
And we're going to end our Saturday show and with Lusundra. And we want to thank all of you listeners. Don't forget, look for the Home Biz Tax Lady on all social media. Find her on YouTube or go and you can get all of her social media platforms on my website. Again, we are here from Entrepreneur Life and the Day in the Life of an Entrepreneur. I'm Rose from McDonald Bookkeeping, and my co-host
is Shamara with SWHR Consulting.
And tune in next Saturday, guys. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
McDonald Bookkeeping, your small business one-stop shop for your bookkeeping needs. McDonald Bookkeeping is there for your payroll employment requirement, tax, and QuickBooks financial software. McDonald Bookkeeping, customized accounting services to fit almost any budget. McDonald Bookkeeping, bookkeeping and payroll made simple. Check out our website at mcdonaldbookkeeping.com. Call today for your free consultation at 800-560-5139. That's 800-560-5139. Or email us at admin@mcdonald-bookkeeping.com. That's admin@mcdonald-bookkeeping.com. McDonald Bookkeeping, the perfect move for small businesses, entrepreneurs, and bosses.
Good afternoon.